Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a close look at a really unique conflict from the late 20th century, the Kargil War, 1999. We're talking high-altitude warfare, extreme conditions, two nuclear powers. It was quite something. We've gone through the research to really unpack it.
Yeah, it really stands out as a case study. I mean, fighting at those altitudes, some of the highest in the world. And it marked such a rapid, dramatic shift in India-Pakistan relations, a real stark reminder about miscalculation when nuclear weapons are involved.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. To really get Kargil, you have to see it in the context of the long history, right?
Yeah.
The Kashmir dispute going way back to 47, the previous wars in 48, 65, 71. It's complicated.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here, just truly striking, is the contrast. Because just months before this thing blew up, you had the Lahore Declaration, February 9th.
Vajpayee and Sharif, it seemed hopeful.
Exactly. A real symbol of maybe finding a path towards peace. But almost at the exact same time, Pakistani soldiers, disguised as militants, were already infiltrating Indian territory in Kargil. The deception was, profound.
So why? I mean, both countries had tested nuclear weapons in 98. What was the thinking, or maybe the misthinking, behind Pakistan's move into Kargil?
Well, the sources suggest Pakistan's military leaders really misjudged things. They seem to believe India might hold back from a strong conventional response, fearing escalation under that new nuclear shadow.
The nuclear umbrella issue.
Precisely. The main goal seems to have been cutting off National Highway 1A, disrupting India's supply lines to Ladakh. It really shows, though, that having nukes doesn't automatically stop conventional fights, especially over territory.
And there's more to it, right? Domestic factors in Pakistan.
Oh, definitely. If you connect this to the bigger picture, General Pervez Musharraf's influence was clearly growing. And there's quite a bit of evidence suggesting the military plan maybe wasn't fully shared with or approved by Prime Minister Sharif. So, Pakistan misread India's determination and also how the international community might react. Big miscalculations.
Pretty audacious. How did this infiltration stay secret for so long, Feb to April 99? And what finally twigged India?
Well, initially, it seems it just went unnoticed. The terrain is incredibly difficult up there. It wasn't until May that local shepherds actually reported seeing suspicious activity. And then things moved fast.
Operation Vijay.
Right. India launched Operation Vijay, mobilized thousands of troops. And you have to remember the conditions, 14,000, even 18,000 feet. Freezing cold. It was literally an uphill battle. Militarily, the Bofors howitzers were surprisingly crucial.
Those big guns.
Yeah, they were key in softening up enemy positions dug into those heights. And then there was the Indian Air Force Operation Sagar. Using Mirage 2000s for precision strikes at high altitude, that was a big deal too. Battles like Tololing, captured June 13th, and Tiger Hill on July 4th, they became iconic.
And Captain Vikram Batra's famous line.
Yeah, Dil mange more, yes. This heart wants more. Really sums up the spirit, the bravery involved.
Okay, let's shift to the diplomatic side. India made a key decision, didn't they? Not crossing the line of control.
Yes, strategically vital. That restraint gave India significant moral high ground internationally. Pakistan initially tried to pass the infiltrators off as freedom fighters, but that story just fell apart pretty quickly as evidence mounted. It became clear these were regular Pakistani soldiers.
So international pressure started building.
Massively. And this is where the U.S. role becomes critical. President Bill Clinton got directly involved. He personally pressured Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, especially around July 4th, 1999, urging a withdrawal.
Really isolating Pakistan diplomatically.
Completely. It essentially forced their hand.
So the outcomes. Militarily, India secures victory by July 26, 1999. That's Kargil Vijay Diwas now.
A decisive victory, reclaiming all occupied posts. For Pakistan, though, it was a major strategic failure. Diplomatic isolation, and then just months later, the coup. General Musharraf overthrew Sharif.
And the longer-term impact.
Well, sadly, increased hostility between India and Pakistan, but also some really important, though hard-learned lessons for India. It exposed serious intelligence gaps in that kind of terrain, leading to major changes in surveillance and mountain warfare training, a critical adaptation. And it also really drove home the point that, having nuclear weapons doesn't actually prevent conventional war. It shifted how people thought about deterrence in the region.
So bringing it all together, what does this mean? The Kargil War, it was clearly a defining moment for South Asia. A story of bravery, yes, but also a serious lesson about miscalculation.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a challenging thought, doesn't it? When you consider the terrible human cost and the tensions that still exist between these nuclear-armed neighbors, How can the lessons from conflicts like Kargil actually guide us towards, well, a more sustainable peace, especially when these really deep-seated disputes just won't go away?
That is definitely something to reflect on. Thank you for diving deep with us today.